You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Later with Mo Kelly. We're live on YouTube right now. Sperm racing is real, and it is already taking people's money. Tickets have already gone on sale as of noon today for the very first sperm race.
Oh, word?
Word. I'm not making up any of this. There will even be a microscopic racetrack for 2 sperm samples to compete. The course mimics reproductive system and includes chemical signals, fluid dynamics, and synchronized starts. Every move that the sperm makes is tracked by high-resolution cameras and live streamed. There will be video. There will even be stats, leaderboards, and instant replays. The first race is going to be April 25th. We're talking fewer than 2 weeks from now. This is what Sperm Racing, the company, had to say. Quote, "We're turning it into a spectacle. Think press conferences, weigh-ins, live stream races with play-by-play commentary, and, of course, betting. Whether it's athletes or celebrities, imagine backing your icon in the weirdest, most entertaining event you've ever seen." Far be it from me to ask questions about this. I wonder, I mean, I assume the sperm can only run one race or swim one race, right? They can't, like, compete more than once, can they?
No.
Is the finish line an egg?
They don't say that, but they do say that there are chemical dynamics to it. So there's probably some sort of lure out there. They have to swim towards something.
Like
so
a pole to get them to go with the direction that they're going.
Yeah, like Greyhound Racing, they have a fake rabbit out there. Maybe they have a fake egg or something like that.
I'm afraid to look it up on a company computer to find out.
I refuse to. That's why I'm just reading from the story. I'm not going to get caught out there like that. I don't trust the government.
It was tough enough pulling this story.
All right, here we go. Let's get it all out right now, okay? Let's just, as we can, just eject all the jokes. Just get it all out there. Expunge all the jokes.
Just blast them right out there?
That's right.
I see.
I know all the jokes that are just wadded up inside of you. Just
wadded up. There's no choking in this story.
Well, sometimes you get joke buildup.
Or joke backup. Can you get blue joke?
No. Stay away from that. Stay away from that. But I will say this. This probably will make money.
Oh, it's good.
Just from morbid curiosity, people will not only tune in, it's another way for people to bet and make money. I don't know how good the camera work is going to be. I don't want to see the sperm, practicing beforehand. I don't need to see any of that. I'm not so sure I'm even going to tune in, but I know it's going to make money because the moment I saw marble racing during the pandemic, I knew that something like this could work because we are fiending for any type of athletic event, air quotes, or anything that we can bet on and make money. And if people are willing to bet money on this, it will make money.
I mean, this is athletic, though?
I mean, in a way. I mean, swimming is a sport, isn't it?
And plus the video game, they call them athletes.
Yeah.
The guys that play professional video games.
Yeah. Now, I wonder, though, in a general sense, who's providing the athletes?
That's why I wonder, like, how do they get the athletes out of the chute?
Okay, when a man loves a woman.
No, I'm just saying, but like, is it are the participants going up to the starting gate and then they have to release the athletes?
I'm not exactly. I'm not exactly. I don't know how they check them in for the event. I'm not sure how they assign.
What is the starting gate? Is it like a faux?
Well, see, the thing is, I'm under the impression from my.
I'm just trying to figure it out.
From my biology class, usually they start swimming when there's inspiration provided.
Yes.
I don't know if they're going to store the athletes in a location and then release them later.
That's
for the
a way to cheat, because you can absolutely cheat with the frozen athletes manipulating.
What, performance enhancing?
Yes.
I don't know how this is going to work. Mark, tell us how it's going to work.
Well, I'm sure that you wouldn't want to prep the athletes until just before the event, correct?
Well, I have to wonder. I'm saying,
You can't come out the starting gate cold.
The hell you can't.
Shrinkage alone is going to make it impossible for the athletes to run.
It is interesting, though, how that's going to start and what would pull the actual athletes to the end or to the finish
You
line.
got
They
like
have
a
to
warm-up
have-
coach. You got like a fluffer. What do you got?
Look, what I'm saying, it seems like, how do you say go to the athletes at the same time?
Non-verbally.
Yeah, I guess.
Yes. Yes.
Can I take a break yet, Stefan?
No. No, you're almost there. You're almost ready.
I'm curious in terms of questions. I don't need to see it, but I need someone to explain it to me how it's supposed to work.
I don't know who wrote this diagram up.
No, they use pencil.
Yes.
It's like a kid. They have a pencil diagram of the track, and I'm telling you, it was done on a notepad with a number 2 pencil inside of 30 seconds.
Yes.
So
that-
it's a swimming event.
Of sorts.
Of sorts.
Oh, my God. I'm just sorry.
I mean, it's a track race, too.
Let's go 5-year-old did that.
Yes.
Are any of them named after famous swimmers? Do you know where I'm going with this?
Yes, I do know.
Yes.
I do know. We're not sure as far as who is doing the underwriting for these athletes. Who's the sponsor?
Not Mark Spitz?
Quite possibly.
Okie dokie.
Well,
No,
you
it could
have Eric Zhu, Thor Ventures, Nick Small, the
Better than Mark
youngest
Swallow.
sold out of crypto. Oh, wow.
Took you a while for that, didn't it? Yeah,
You just kept going.
Yeah.
He just ran on by that.
Because this is wow. Jeez. Nick Small, who is the youngest sold out founder of cryptocurrency.
Small, okay.
Sure.
Shane Fan, Waterfall Market. Garrett, whose last name I cannot pronounce, who is an ex Mr. Beast team member.
Garrett Girth, if you've got a Nick Small.
Garrett.
Can I go to break now, Steph?
Yeah, we can.
I beg you.
It's later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640 and YouTube, and the chat is out of control. I don't even want to ask. I can't even envision reading any of their questions
Just
on air.
delete all of it. Delete it.
Just start over.
No. I got to see some of these.
All right, Carnation, give us one question that we can talk about. Someone said, who will be the sponsor? Magnum?
Elmer's?
No, not Elmer's. No. More like KY.
Elmer's.
Ooh.
KY. KY, good sponsor. Charmin, the napkins.
Someone said
Or Kleenex. Kleenex.
Kleenex,
Kleenex
yeah,
could be the
this would be a good
sponsor.
one.
Yeah.
Someone said Spitz the sunflower seed.
I can see that. I like you. Whoever said it, I like it.
I really enjoyed my final night on the air with all of you.
We're not coming back tomorrow at this point.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Later with Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app and also simulcasting live on YouTube at Mr. Mo Kelly. I follow presidential politics very closely. I've worked on local campaigns. I have advised some exploratory committees for people who were possibly running for president. I live, eat, and breathe this stuff. I happen to have a radio show. I do some political commentary for BBC and also Spectrum Networks. But I can promise you, I'm in no way qualified for becoming president. I'm in no way qualified. And I say that with great humility because I have too much respect for the actual job to think that I could possibly do it. I mentioned my personal resume because when you have someone like Stephen A. Smith, who's the host of First Take on ESPN and a podcaster and occasionally does political commentary, our resumes, not our fame, but our resumes are comparable. And I would say that mine probably exceeds his when it comes to actual politics and political work. He dabbles in it only by way of commentary now and then. What is weird is lately he signed a major contract, and in that contract, as an ESPN employee, he's now been given permission to speak freely about politics. Heretofore, you couldn't do that as an ESPN employee. Now with this big contract, he is the face of ESPN, and he is talking politics just about every day, either on his show or on his podcast. You may see him do interviews with Sean Hannity, or he may sit down with some other cable news host. But yesterday, he was on ABC's Sunday shows. And yes, ABC, ESPN, both under the umbrella of Disney. So that's not a surprise. That's just cross promotion. But I was very surprised and disappointed that ABC News has legitimized Stephen A. Smith and his delusions of grandeur as far as possibly being a presidential candidate. The whole idea that Stephen A. Smith, and I'll play the audio for you, says that he had no choice but to consider running for president. No choice. He says if someone else doesn't step up, then he may have no choice but to throw his hat in the ring. Like he's going to be the one to step in the breach and somehow save all of us. I was very disappointed in ABC and ABC News and Jonathan Carl for conducting this interview and elevating Stephen A. Smith, who I respect as a sports journalist, but he in no way should be considered in any way a presidential candidate. That's not even worth joking about. Here is the conversation in short.
You know, I saw you mentioned Bill Maher. I saw Steve Bannon was on with Bill Maher, and he was asked what Democrats he worries about. And you know, the only name he mentioned as a Democrat he'd be worried about. So are you really thinking about running for president? Is this something you think?
Listen, I have no choice because I've had elected officials, and I'm not going to give their names. What? Elected officials coming up to me. I've had folks who are pundits come up to me. I've had folks that got a lot of money, billionaires and others, that have talked to me about exploratory committees and things of that nature. I'm not a politician. I've never had a desire to be a politician. I just signed a contract extension with ESPN. I am very, very
pretty
happy
good one too
with my day job. I'm very happy with my bosses. It's a pretty damn good one. Just right. It's a pretty damn good contract. I couldn't be happier. But here's the reality. People have walked up to me, including my own pastor, for crying out loud, who has said to me, you don't know what God has planned for you. At least show the respect to the people who believe in you, who respect you, who believe that you can make a difference in this country, to leave the door open for any possibilities 2 to 3 years down the line. And that's what I've decided to do. But again, whether it's Governor Westmore, who I know, or Governor Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania, I know, Andrew Cuomo, who I had the pleasure of interviewing, who's trying to get back in things, be the next mayor of New York, etc. I see a lot of people that obviously and clearly are more qualified than me.
That's where it should have stopped. Right there. I see a lot of people who obviously should be more qualified than me. Thank you, but I'm not qualified. That's how it should have ended. We all have delusions of grandeur at times, but to think that you can be president of the United States because your friends and powerful people come up to you is insulting our intelligence. Some of my best friends tell me I should be president. Rich and powerful people, politicians.
But in the same breath, when you think about what Trump is getting away with, when you think about what you brought up about Steve Bannon, who's trying to be slick because he's looking at a non-political individual like myself, looking at me as a populist, but you better be careful what you ask for, because some of the stuff that Trump and the right has been trying to get away with, like circumventing the 22nd Amendment of the Constitution, talking about how there could be a third term. Be careful what you wish for, because if any GOP member, if any Republican supports that, I don't want to hear a word out of their mouth ever again about the following the Constitution. That's what they've been living off for years. And then you're talking about circumventing the 22nd Amendment, and you think that's cool? No way. That's not something that we should stand for. So I would hope somebody else would step up that's more qualified than me.
Anyone who steps up is more qualified than you, and that is the main point. Anybody. I would be more qualified than Stephen A. Smith, and I say that with facts behind my name. And I would never be qualified for president of the United States. Not the international policy, not the domestic policy, not commander-in-chief, not sending our soldiers off to war, not in any way being able to lead this nation and be leader of the free world. I am humble enough and confident enough in my own ego to know that I am in no way qualified, but I'm more qualified than Stephen A. Smith.
But if it has to come down to me, it is something I would consider. Yes, I would.
What do you mean if it has to come down to you? It will never have to come down to Stephen A. Smith. Never, ever, not ever. It will never come down to, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Is it going to be Kamala Harris or Stephen A. Smith? No, it will never be a zero-sum decision of where it's going to be this or that. It's going to be this person or Stephen A. Smith. We have no other choice. We have no choice but to consider Stephen A. Smith as a viable candidate for president of the United States. Get the frick out of here.
But if it has to come down to me, it is something I would consider. Yes, I would. Because I don't mind the thought of tussling with these folks at all, on the left or the right. All of them disgust me, to be quite honest with you.
They disgust him. They disgust Stephen A. Smith.
What a bold statement.
I don't know Stephen A. Smith, but we have done battle on TV before. This was years ago. Mark, you may not know this.
We were
both on Hardball with Chris Matthews.
Oh, God.
Many years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. I only say that to say he's been wanting to put his foot in this pool for many years now.
At what degree of narcissism would you have to have sunk to feel like you're answering the clarion call, having never done any public service whatsoever?
This is borderline God complex.
Yeah,
It has to be me. I'm the only one. If no one else steps up, I might have no choice but to save America. That's a God complex.
Yeah, we have medications for that.
They should. Yeah, they do. They don't always work though.
No.
More on this in just a moment. It's Later with Mo Kelly. KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app and YouTube.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app and also YouTube at Mr. Mo Kelly. I'm right in this conversation, if you will, or monologue rant about Stephen A. Smith, who made it clear that he has no choice but to consider running for president. And I was making the point, and this is very much going to be a part of my final thought, where I really want to expand upon this and expound upon it, that just because you have opinions, just because you don't like who's in office, it doesn't in any way mean that you are qualified to be leader of the free world. And Carnesia, you had a comment in the chat that I wanted to address directly.
Someone said, come on, Mo. I'm not a fan of Stephen A. running either, but he is more diplomatic and far more intelligent than Trump, who also has zero experience. Traditional politics are dead.
Okay, there's traditional politics and there's governance. Regardless of what you may feel about Stephen A. Smith or Donald Trump, they did not have the requisite experience to become president. I'm a firm believer that competency is more important than personality. I believe that because we have a deficiency of civics and don't understand how our actual government works, we then turn to personalities instead of competency. Competency is understanding how a federal government works and the tens of thousands of people and the different agencies that you'd be responsible for. Competency is being able to manage not only a foreign policy, but a domestic policy. Competency means that you've had some sort of preparation for that, and you're not just spouting off the top of your head. Yes, Donald Trump is now president, but that is not evidence of competency. That is to me evidence of our willingness to disregard competency. We live in a television age, and you hear some of this again at the end of the show. We live in a television age, and this goes back to JFK and Richard Nixon in the first televised debate ever. That forever changed our politics, since you wanted to use the word politics. Yes, we are a visual society. We care more about being entertained than we are competently being led. And there are things that politicians and elected officials actually do, but far too many of us don't know what those things are. And now we have people walking in off the street and think, I can be president of the United States. No, you cannot. Can you be elected? Yes. And there's a difference. Just because people have chosen you doesn't mean that you're inherently qualified. There are a lot of people who will run for president, and very few of them will be competent enough to steer this country if need be. And that's separate from politics. Politics is about ideology. Politics is about belief system. Politics is about the policies that you want to pass, that you want to part of your presidential resume. That's politics. The strategy of getting elected, the strategy of getting laws passed. I'm talking about the competency of being able to run a government. I'm talking about the competency of being able to handle international issues as well as domestic issues, being able to be of sober mind and judgment when it is really necessary. And just because you're articulate, just because you happen to have a personality which is either attractive to you or more amenable to you, doesn't mean the person is competent. If I change President of the United States to American Airlines pilot, you would instantly know what I'm talking about, because you can see the immediate consequences of a lack of competency and how people could and would die. But since people don't usually make that direct connection between the actions of a president and the deaths of Americans, they think, oh, it's okay. Well, he's just, he's Trump is Trump, or Stephen A. Smith is Stephen A. Smith. You can't take him literally. It's not a performance piece.
Next, you'll be telling people that you don't support President Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Remember when I said let me put it this way. I don't want to overstate my role, but I was in conference with someone who specifically was talking to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and setting up his focus groups for his exploratory committee and running for president. That's a real thing. It's still a real thing. He is still actively considering running for president. Can you tell me now, because you like his on-screen persona, that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is less competent or more competent than Stephen A. Smith? I can read you both their resumes. It's 100% entertainment. 100%.
We're moving closer and closer to the President Camacho of idiocracy.
I think we've surpassed that.
No comment.
I think we have. And if you've seen the movie, the theatrics are pretty much the same. The only thing which isn't the same is the attire. That's about it.
Well, did you see the way Kid Rock was dressed in the Oval Office last week?
Yes, it was yeah.
Yeah.
Because I love America, and if you love America, you care about America. You care what happens to America. You care who leads America. You care about the direction of America. And we can argue about policy. We can debate about what's the best way to go, whether it's a conservative ideology or progressive ideology. But we should not debate competency. I use the airline pilot as an example. We can talk about a doctor. Do you care more about the doctor being competent or being funny or doing great TV? We have a number of members of our presidential candidate whose primary qualification is television host. And I'm not exaggerating. That's not competency. That's personality. I like my pilots competent. I like my doctors competent. I like my elected officials competent. If that makes me a bad person, okay, guilty as charged. I require competency. Now, you can have your own set of qualifications for whomever you vote for. Maybe it's the length of their hair. Maybe it's the color of their skin. Maybe, it's the height of the individual. Maybe it's the way they part their hair. Presidential candidates are supposed to part their hair on the left side. That's a real thing, by the way.
I could be president.
That's a real thing about the part.
I'm counting on your support.
I'm saying, but how you choose to vote, why you choose to vote is your thing. I'm telling you, for me, I have the competency discussion first and foremost. Who would I feel more comfortable with during a national crisis or an international crisis? And we can go back and forth about what check marks that you would put in a box for this person or that person. I just know if the best argument you can make for someone is if they're a sports host or an analyst, going back to Stephen A. Smith, then we're not having a conversation about competency, because I have more qualifications than Stephen A. Smith. and I sure as hell know that I have no damn business anywhere near the White House. As the president, at least. Maybe as a visitor. You know. Maybe in the Oval Office, hanging out, having a drink or something.
Take the Lincoln bedroom for a test drive and call it a day.
That's right. Me and Monica Lewinsky.
I'm out.
That's what he said.
Oh!
I heard Tuala laughing, so
okay,
I should be
right.
I should be getting at least 2 rim shots.
Grudgingly.
That's what she said. KFI AM 640, we're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. Yeah, Mark, this is our last night on.
It's been good knowing you.
Your horoscope when we come back.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
It's Mo Kelly, live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app and also on YouTube. You can sign up, subscribe at Mr. Mo Kelly on YouTube. We need to get to 1,000 subscribers tonight. Come on now. This is not that many. It's not that many. Just sign up. You know you're going to be watching every single night. You're going to be listening every single night. So just make this relationship official. Let's consummate the relationship in a digital sense.
We're almost there. I think we're like 950.
Yeah, it's not that many. It's like 1,000 is nothing in the world of social media. So
Come
just
on.
join the party. Here's your horoscope for this week. Aries. This is a time for Aries to celebrate the return of the sun. Happy return of the sun to you, Aries. In a recent documentary about actress, power muse, and fellow Aries, Anita Pallenberg, her son Marlon remarked that Pallenberg's desire to not be a victim saved her from the depths of a devastating drug habit. Sober, but no less electric, Pallenberg went full Phoenix in the second half of her life, living full and free and precisely as she pleased. As the sun highlights your first house of the self, I encourage you to adopt a similar defiance. No matter who you've been, the cape you've worn, or the role you've played, refuse to be anyone but the storied, well-dressed hero of your own epic saga. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying last week in one of my final thoughts about be your biggest cheerleader at all times. I co-sign that, and I agree with that. Taurus. As April ends, the new moon in Taurus is a prime time for dirt magic. Upon the death of his wife, English poet, painter, and fellow Taurus, Dante Gabriel Rossetti, leased a new home and filled its garden with exotic animals, including but not limited to a pair of wombats and a toucan, whom he dressed in a cowboy hat. That's weird. Whatever your kink is, it's yours. Was it grief or freedom that inspired this passion for nature? Perhaps there is no difference, as both create space and opening in the world to explore. As the sun in Aries highlights your 12th house of endings, I encourage you to welcome the limitlessness of such emptiness and think of the delicious and absurd ways you can fill your own proverbial garden. Gemini, this is Mark Ronner.
Let's have it.
Geminis will have to ask themselves a few questions next month. A Mongolian proverb holds that, quote, 100 friends are more valuable than 100 pieces of gold, close quote. As Aries season highlights your 11th house of community and collective energy, Gemini, how do you conceive of and invest in those around you? If time is our true currency, are you spending it well and spending it with those who enrich and inspire? If not, it may be time to dig deeper.
Nice. We are going.
Don't waste time, Mark.
Yeah, that's sobering, isn't it?
You are a little bit older than all of us.
We're going to the movies on Friday. That's what this means.
Yeah, that's what that means.
Yeah, you're investing in your crew.
Are we bringing Grandpa in there with us?
Who, Daniel?
No, you.
Oh, no, I don't have any grandchildren. Cancer, this would be Stefan.
Let's go.
Ahoy, Cancer! For the bulk of the month, Mars, our planet of war and winning, will be rounding out his tour of duty in your sign. The Lord of War is ill at ease in the sign of Cancer, yet I think there is an important lesson to be learned in this final push. If you will allow a domestic metaphor, consider that every action is a stitch, and the quality of the quilt is directly proportional to your ability to be both visionary and pragmatic, whatever the hell that means. Leo. Leos will feel inspired next month. The sun is a fellow fire sign. Oh, Carnation year, Leo? Okay. The sun is a fellow fire sign, lights up your 9th house of expansion and inspiration, Leo. A little lesson in nature for you. Rather than hibernating deep into water resources like many of their species, wood frogs freeze themselves solid to endure the long months of winter. They bed down on the forest floor and cease to breathe, move, or even generate a heartbeat. No one knows what ignites the wood frog's heartbeat after this extended spell of suspension, but it might be that the frog thaws from the inside out, alongside the land and much earlier than their water-dwelling brethren. I offer you the wood frog as an example of what can be gained by slowing down, standing still, and working with your elemental nature and the cycles of your own spontaneous ignition.
I was wondering what that had to do with Leos.
I have no idea.
About
frogs, yeah. I don't know. Lions, frogs, whatever. Virgos have to keep a few things in mind this April. It's widely known that the glory of a pearl is born from grit, irritation, and violation, Virgo. Yet, as you embark upon Aries season, highlighting your 8th house of sex, death, resources, and regeneration, it feels pertinent to note that the word pearl comes from the Latin for leg.
Okay.
This is thought to be a reference to the shape of the oyster itself, but in the interest of poetry, I suggest it says something else. The gift of grit always allows us to stand tall and step forward. All pain is a preparation. Every setback is a new start. Libra. April is all about navigating relationships for Libras. Hello, Libra. The sun in Aries sets fire to your 7th house of partnerships. I recently read that female gladiators routinely fought in ancient Rome. Unlike their male counterparts, these women did not fight to the death, but rather to the draw. Coming from all backgrounds, they took up the sport of sparring to strengthen their bodies for childbirth, make money, and be buoyed by the roar of the crowd. I hope you consider these ancient athletes as you navigate your relationships this month, Libra. Remember that conflict is a conduit, and there is usually a way for everyone to win. Scorpio, this is Tuala.
Let's go.
Scorpios should let motivation be their driving force this month. Recently over coffee, a favorite Scorpio detailed his latest marathon attempt. When I asked him if he would run the course again, he said, "Of course, I have to take my revenge on it." I suspect you can identify with the sentiment. As the sun in Aries activates your 6th house of daily habits, I encourage you to adopt a motivational ritual that pushes you forward. So be it if spite is what moves you.
Yes.
That's right. Spite them.
Yes.
Be petty.
Let that motivate.
This is Sagittarius, me. April is all play and pleasure for the Sagittarius sign. Yes, sir. I recently read a short story about a woman who gets an erotic thrill from listening to the recorded sound of irregular heartbeats. As Aries season highlights your 5th house of pleasure, play, love affairs, and creative endeavors, Sagittarius, I encourage you to find something that arouses a similar feeling. I invite you to listen closely and keep a wide eye fixed on wonder as you explore not just what beats strangely in others, but what sings to the source in you.
That's
Hush,
right.
Mark. Don't leave it alone, Mark.
Look, yes.
Leave it alone, Mark. Capricorn. Capricorns need to trust themselves this upcoming month. The focus for you this month is the ties that bind and the roots that hold. The sun in Aries burns a hole in the front door of your 4th house of origins and ancestry. Rather than be bogged down by all that came before, I challenge you in the spirit of spring and the onset of New Year to be emboldened by it. Aquarius. Nothing is wrong with talking to yourself from time to time. And I got to say, as a Sag, I talk to myself every single day. Every single day. Nobody loves me like me. No one will listen to my full conversation like me. Because in real life, everyone cuts me off. My wife cuts me off all the time. So that's why I talk to myself. I don't get interrupted.
Do you finish y'all conversations?
Sure do.
You start.
I hear Daniel out there laughing.
Yeah,
at
he
me.
was laughing too.
Aquarius, nothing is wrong with talking to yourself from time to time. In his song Renewed Ambition, rapper and Aquarius king Kevin Gates explains that he, like all geniuses, talks to himself. There it is. There it is. As the sun in Aries casts its light on your 3rd house of communication, I urge you to take a page out of KG's playbook, orate your life, and give voice to the questions, qualms, ideas, and all that ails and avails you. Talk to yourself like every answer is built into the echo because, of course, it is. I'm going to take that as my horoscope. And lastly, Pisces. April concludes a trying Venus retrograde for Pisces. As we conclude in this your sign month, Pisces, I feel compelled to share a message with you. My favorite Pisces recently had me over for a screening of her favorite films, 1971, Harold and Maude. Hate that movie. Towards the end of the movie, it's just boring. It's just a boring movie.
It was a recent cult classic.
Whatever. Towards the end of the movie, Harold confesses his love for his older paramour, and she responds by saying, "Oh, that's wonderful. Now go love some more." Whomever you are pining for or recovering from, Pisces, think of them as kindling for a future fire, and that is your horoscope or horror scope for this week.
You can't take someone else's horoscope, Mo. You have to take your own.
I'm taking someone else's. I'm going to talk to myself some more. In fact, I'm going to go have a fabulous conversation with myself.
You are your own best audience.
That's right. I'm having a conversation right now. I'm just not letting you all know. I know. I can't believe that either. Look, I would kick his ass if he said that to me. FOH. No, I'm serious. No, she's cute. I mean, if I were 35 years younger, but no. Oh, you guys are still here. KFI AM 640.
Just waiting for the two of you to finish.
We're live everywhere, the iHeartRadio app and YouTube.
KFI
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.